Well, I first met Clint when I was working with Jimmy Rogers, the later Jimmy Rogers, and we played the Troubadour and things in Hollywood. And Clint used to come out and hear me play all the time. And then later on, I was elected into the Hollywood Hackers, which is the movie stars that get together, and they had their own club, and they would do charities all over the country to raise money. And Clint then became a friend as well. And his wife, Tina Ruiz, I knew her when she was up in Flagstaff, Arizona with NBC. She was transferred over to Carmel to NBC and was assigned to go interview Clint at his house. Well, I don't know what partook, but anyway, they got married and they had a bunch of kids together. And so, I got to know Clint, and a very, very nice man, very quiet. He is who he is.
Where did it connect then for you to be on some of the movies, on the soundtracks and theme music?
Actually, as a studio musician in Hollywood, I was brought out by Randy Sparks, who was the original founder of the Christie Minstrels, and I was recording with them. And when Hugo Montenegro got an assignment to do a movie at MGM called Advance to the Rear, which starred Glenn Ford. And Hugo came out from Connecticut, and he said to his managers, he said, I don't know how to write for film. And Randy Sparks right away said, I'll get you a guy to help you. And he calls me up and he said, hey Ralph, go to MGM, meet Hugo, and you're going to see all the footage, the raw footage, and then you can help him write the score. I said, Randy, I never wrote a score for a movie, and here we're starting at MGM. And so I went and I saw the footage, and when we finished, Hugo and I came out and he said, boy, Ralph, I'm so glad to have you, because I don't know how to write for film. I said, Hugo, I don't know how to write for film either. He said, well, we'll learn together. Two Italians, we're going to learn together. So that's what happened. And then he found out that I was doing dates, and he said, well, why don't you play guitar on all the dates? And he flew back to Connecticut. He came back out in a few months, called me, said, I live in Woodland Hills, come on over to the house and have spaghetti. So I went over to the house, and we hit it off wonderfully. And he was going to sign with RCA Victor Records. And he said, I would love for you to orchestrate all my albums along with me and play guitar on all the albums and supervise the mix downs, because he knew I had engineering skills. And so that's how it started. Next thing you know, I Dream a Genie came along. And the story with I Dream a Genie, I have a recording studio in my house, of course. Hugo came over with an idea. He got a call from Sidney Shelton, who was the producer. And he said, write me a theme. If I like the theme, you get the show. So Hugo came over to my house, and I put a lot of guitars together, and I used the Jaguar. And I put a lot of tracks down and made him a nice demo. And he brought it into Sidney Sheldon, who proceeded to put it on his machine, played it, and he walked over to the piano, and he couldn't find the melody. And so he said, no, I don't like it. So he said, write me something different. So Hugo came to me with another idea, and I got the guitars out again. We did another demo. He brought it into Sidney Sheldon. He did the same routine, went over to the piano and all, and he said, I don't like it. He couldn't find the melody. It was too complex. So Hugo came to me because he said, Sidney said, I'm giving you one more shot. You don't bring me something by tomorrow morning, you're not getting the show. So I said to Hugo, well, what is he doing? He said, well, he goes over to the piano, he's trying to pick the melody out. I said, well, you're writing complex melodies. So I said, sit down in the corner, let me try something. Hugo said, oh no, that's too simple, that's too simple. I said, stay there. I recorded all the tracks, I gave him the tape, I said, bring this to Sidney. He said, Ralph, I can't bring him, this is dumb. I said, I know. He said, but it's too simple. I said, what else do you have? I said, if you don't give him this, you lose the show anyway. I said, do me a favor, bring it to him. So Hugo reluctantly went in, gave it to him. As soon as Sidney Sheldon put it on, doom, da-doom, doom, da-doom, doom, doom, and the melody came on, he said, I love it, you got the show. So
Oh
Hugo
my
calls me,
God.
he said, we've got the show. And I said, well, see,
Oh my.
simplicity works.
So you'd go in then to work on the music like to a TV show. Talk about that process of.
Okay, what would happen is we'd go in and we'd have a spotting. Nowadays it's totally different. Writers are given a DVD and they go home and they play along watching the DVD on their synthesizer or whatever, and they don't have to read music, they don't have to write anything. But we would spot a film with no music whatsoever, and a director and producer would be sitting there going, oh, you got to help this scene. This was supposed to be funny. It's not funny. Make it funny with music. Oh, this is supposed to be sad. Make this sad with music. And the wind-up is we're fixing the whole picture. So anyway, we have the music cutter write typewritten sheets for us with a clock timing, because they'd 00 the clock at the beginning of a scene. And at 10 seconds, there'd be an action. They tell us what it was. 15 seconds, there'd be an action. They tell us what it was. And all we get is this typewritten sheet. Well, we take this back in the office, and we sit down, and we try and recall the scene. And then we decide what tempo we're going to play. And then we know what click track it's going to be. And then through this digital click back track book, we can figure out 10 seconds, what beat does it fall on in the music? So now on my musical score, I make an arrow and I say what the action is. And this arrow, what the action is. Now I write according to all those little cues I wrote down. Now we send the score to the copyist. The copyist takes the main score, copies everybody individually their parts. And musicians are hired. We show up at the studio, and about 30 seconds before downbeat, the librarian passes out all the music, and Hugo goes, okay, ladies and gentlemen, M11. And he says to the booth, record it. And he counts off, we play it once, perfect, next. And that's how we did movies and television.
Really, that's great stuff.